What are you really asking for when you pray, defend us in battle? Have you ever stopped and wondered why those words feel so urgent, so strong, so alive, even after generations of Christians have whispered them in fear, in faith, and in desperate need? Because this is not just an old religious phrase. It is not poetic decoration. It is a cry for help in the middle of a real spiritual struggle, and the reason it still moves the heart today is because deep down, many people already feel that battle happening inside their lives. There are moments when life feels heavier than it should. You pray, but your mind is restless. You try to stay in peace, but something keeps pulling you back into anxiety, temptation, confusion, discouragement, or fear. Sometimes it is not one dramatic event. Sometimes it is the slow pressure of daily life, the emotional fatigue, the sense that your home needs protection, that your soul needs strength, that your family needs covering, that something unseen is trying to steal your peace. That is why the words "defend us in battle" do not feel distant. They feel personal. They meet people exactly where they are. When Catholics and many Christians pray to Saint Michael the Archangel, they are not worshiping an angel. They are asking a mighty servant of God to intercede, to protect, and to stand with them under the authority of the Lord. Saint Michael has long been honored in Christian tradition as the great defender, the one who fights against the forces of evil, the one who stands for God's justice, God's holiness, and God's people. So when you say, "Defend us in battle," you are stepping into a prayer that recognizes something modern culture often tries to ignore. Spiritual life is not neutral. There is a real struggle between what draws us toward God and what tries to pull us away. And that is where this phrase becomes so powerful. Notice what it does not say. It does not say, "Help us avoid battle altogether." It does not say, "Make life easy." It does not even say, "Remove every difficulty immediately." It says, "Defend us in battle." It defend us in battle. Ekporte. Prebrabidger. Preprabui. Before intelting midi. Bekwarbi. Bebender. Denominasta. Papomaini. Parato. Nothing you like.
Ikaw, book daw, bibo, lukit ka, menken, defty, mate, milk, lovely, new row, you is new murder, get your murder, being only murder, the made, murder, living in there, no, the doctor.
In other words, the prayer assumes that the battle is already here. It assumes that the faithful will face opposition, temptation, darkness, and spiritual pressure. But it also declares that they are not abandoned in the middle of it. That is the heart of the phrase. It is not a sentence of fear. It is a declaration of trust. This matters because many people think spiritual warfare only refers to dramatic or extraordinary situations, but in real life, the battle often looks quieter than that. It can look like the temptation to give up on prayer. It can look like bitterness taking root in the heart. It can look like constant distraction, moral confusion, despair, division in the family, loss of hope, or a heaviness that makes a person feel spiritually numb. The battle is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle. Sometimes it comes disguised as discouragement. Sometimes it enters through exhaustion. Sometimes it grows in silence. And that is exactly why this prayer remains so relevant. It gives language to what many people feel, but do not know how to describe. When the prayer says, "Defend us," it also reveals something beautiful about the Christian life. We are not meant to fight alone. God gives grace. God gives His presence. God gives the church. God gives prayer. And, in His divine order, He also gives the help of His holy angels. Saint Michael becomes a sign that heaven is not passive while earth struggles. Heaven is engaged. Heaven is attentive. Heaven is not indifferent to your suffering, your fears, your temptations, or your need for protection. That is one reason this prayer has endured for so long. It reminds the believer that unseen help is real. Historically, the prayer to Saint Michael became especially known after Pope Leo XIII in the 19th century promoted it in a powerful way, and over time it entered the devotional life of countless believers around the world. But the reason it lasted is not merely historical. It lasted because generation after generation discovered that these words speak to real spiritual hunger. People do not return to a prayer for more than a century just because of tradition alone. They return because it speaks to wounds they still carry, fears they still feel, and battles they still face. And maybe that is where this touches you today. Maybe your battle is happening in your thoughts. Maybe it is happening in your family. Maybe you feel a burden over your children, your marriage, your home, your peace, or your future. Maybe you have sensed that you need more than motivation. You need spiritual covering. You need heaven's help. You need courage that does not come from your emotions alone. And that is why Defend Us in Battle matters. It gives the soul permission to stop pretending it is fine and start asking for real spiritual protection. Before we go deeper, take a moment and let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from, because it is always moving to see how devotion to Saint Michael reaches hearts across nations, languages, and generations. And as we continue, stay with me, because the next part of this phrase reveals something even deeper. The battle is not only around us, often it is within us too. One of the most meaningful things about this line is that it teaches spiritual honesty. To say, defend us in battle, is to admit that I am vulnerable. It is to admit that I need protection, that I can be shaken, that I can be tempted, that I can be wounded, and that I need help greater than my own strength. In a world that often glorifies self-sufficiency, this prayer invites humility. It reminds us that spiritual maturity is not pretending to be untouchable. Spiritual maturity is knowing where to run when the soul is under attack. That is why Saint Michael is such a powerful figure in devotion. He represents holy strength, but not strength separated from God. He does not act independently of the Lord. He fights in perfect obedience. He stands not as a symbol of raw aggression, but as a symbol of divine order, fidelity, courage, and protection. So when believers call on Saint Michael, they are not simply asking for a warrior image to comfort them. They are asking for help to remain faithful, steady, and protected under God's will. This becomes even more moving when you realize that the phrase, defend us in battle, is not only about surviving evil, it is also about remaining anchored in what is good. It is about keeping faith when doubt rises. It is about protecting peace when chaos enters the home. It is about guarding purity when the world normalizes what wounds the soul. It is about resisting lies when truth becomes blurred. It is about asking God, through the intercession of Saint Michael, to help you stand where you might otherwise fall. And that changes how the prayer works in daily life. This is not just a line to repeat mechanically. It becomes a spiritual posture. A mother can pray it over her children. A father can pray it over his home. A person struggling with fear can whisper it at night. Someone facing temptation can pray it in a moment of weakness. Someone overwhelmed by bad news, inner heaviness, or spiritual oppression can turn to it and remember that protection is not imaginary. The prayer becomes an act of alignment. It turns the heart back toward God's strength instead of personal panic. Many people also find comfort in these words because they express something that modern language often fails to express well. We know what it means to feel emotionally drained. We know what it means to feel mentally burdened. But there are also times when the soul knows something spiritual is happening, even if it is difficult to explain. A home can feel disturbed. A person can feel constantly pulled away from prayer. A family can feel under pressure in ways that seem deeper than ordinary stress. In those moments, the language of Saint Michael becomes deeply comforting because it says, in effect, I am not imagining the struggle, and I am not powerless inside it. There is also a reason the phrase has such strong emotional resonance. Battle means intensity. Battle means movement. Battle means something is at stake. And when that word is placed inside prayer, it reminds us that the spiritual life is not casual. Your peace matters, your soul matters, your family matters, your fidelity matters, your interior life matters. The enemy of the soul does not fight because your life is worthless. He fights because your life has value before God. That is why the prayer is serious. It reflects the dignity of what is being defended. At the same time, this devotion does not lead believers into panic. True devotion to Saint Michael should never produce obsession or fear. It should produce vigilance, reverence, confidence, and deeper trust in God. Saint Michael does not replace Christ. He points us toward Christ. He does not become the center above God. He serves the will of God. That is why this prayer is so healthy when understood rightly. It strengthens courage without superstition. It deepens awareness without darkness. It increases devotion without confusion. It keeps the soul looking upward. So what does defend us in battle mean for the person listening right now? It means you do not have to ignore the spiritual dimension of your life. It means the pressure you feel should lead you to prayer, not to hopelessness. It means asking for protection is not weakness. It is wisdom. It means your home can become a place of prayer, your fear can become a place of surrender, and your discouragement can become a place where heaven meets you. It means that even when life feels unstable, you can still stand under the protection of God. And maybe that is the deepest beauty of this phrase. It is both ancient and immediate. People prayed it long before your lifetime, and yet it still fits the hidden battles of your heart today. It carries the weight of tradition, but it also carries personal tenderness. It feels strong because it is strong. It feels urgent because the need is real. And it feels hopeful because it reminds us that evil never has the final word when a soul belongs to God. So the next time you pray, defend us in battle, do not rush through it. Let it breathe. Let it mean something. Let it become personal. Remember that you are asking for protection not only from external evil, but also from whatever tries to weaken your faith, disturb your peace, corrupt your heart, divide your home, or pull you away from the Lord. Pray it with reverence. Pray it with trust. Pray it over your family. Pray it over your mind. Pray it when you feel strong, and pray it when you feel fragile. Because sometimes the most powerful prayers are the ones that teach the soul both how serious the struggle is and how near heaven truly is. If this message spoke to your heart, stay close to this channel, pray with us, and share this with someone who may need Saint Michael's protection today. And as you go forward, may those words remain alive in you. Defend us in battle, not as a distant formula, but as a living cry of faith, courage, and holy trust beneath the protection of God. If this reflection blessed you, write, Saint Michael, defend us in the comments. Share this video with someone who needs spiritual strength, and stay with this community for more prayers and devotions that bring peace, protection, and deeper trust in God.